Okay. Okay. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I am the Y2K collector and I am back. I know that it's been some time since I've been able to put together a video for you all, and I wanted to just pause for a minute and say thank you again. I've been saying it all weekend, but I can't say it enough. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. We hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, and for some that's small change, but for me that's huge because this channel started during one of the darkest times, I think, for a lot of people, when we were all on lockdown. We had nowhere to go. We couldn't do anything. And for me, video games became a lifeline. It was a safe haven. It was where I went to escape a lot of the nonsense that was going on around me. And so I want to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel, who's joined on the collecting journey. Because that's what it is, right? I don't think anyone can collect and play every single game there is. And I just don't think it's doable. But I think we can all try to continue building our collections to get the things that we want, acquire the games that we want, so that we have a library that we're comfortable with, that we can enjoy. And then whenever we want to just kind of step away and dive into some games, we can dive into the games that we want. Now, I was supposed to be putting out a video this evening, which was going to be the video that showed you all my complete video game collection. Unfortunately, I underestimated how long it would take for me to film that video. And so I don't think it's going to be ready, and I don't want to just rush something like that out. I definitely want to take my time to be able to show you at least the important things I think about my collection. And I do not claim to know everything about video games. I definitely don't know all the games that are out there, but I do think that there are a few folks who have watched my channel who have maybe learned about a few games that they didn't know were there. So if I can put you on to any games or any consoles that you may have never heard of before or played before, then I'm happy to do so, and I will continue to create videos. But what I want to talk about today is just a little bit about some of the hunting that I've been doing. So on Saturday, I made a video pretty much just talking about everything that I had to sell, because I am trying to build the next phase of my game collection as frugally as possible, and I had a box of items that I was going to sell to begin the collection or the collecting fund, and I just realized what I was trying to sell wasn't enough. So I went out and I did some hunting, and I was able to find a couple of consoles, a memory card, a game. Then I think I went back again today and I was able to get my hands on a PlayStation, as well as some other items. So, what do I want to talk about now with that? Well, the main thing that I want to kind of just stress is how tight I think the retro collecting market has become. So since I started my game collection challenge, I started to think about how I would go about getting games for cheaper than retail. And I know that there are a number of folks who, especially people on YouTube, who start video game collection challenges, and they have their various ways of finding games. But what do you do when you don't live in an area where there are a lot of people selling video games? What do you do when you don't live in an area where there are a ton of garage sales and yard sales going on, and you don't have a bunch of game stores to really go to? And so this is where I think you kind of have to start getting a little bit creative, and you need to start thinking a little bit out of the box when it comes to trying to find games to build your collection. So there's a couple things that you can do. I don't claim to have all of the strategies, but there are a few things that I've done and have been doing to try and build a collection. So the first thing that I've been doing is going to my local thrift stores. Thrift stores are still good places to go. What I've noticed is that Goodwill and thrift stores, they've actually started bumping up the prices on their video games, even games that are worthless. I think just in an attempt to make sure that they're maximizing on the value that they can get back for some of those games. So thrift stores, while they're not as good as they once were, they are still good. They're still better than actually going and buying games at retail. So that's one place that I've actually gone. Another place that I've also checked is pawn shops. I have checked pawn shops, but those really are not as good, to be honest with you. Like when it comes to the pawn shops, at least not the ones in my area, they typically don't they don't have anything retro. And then all the new stuff that they try to sell, they're pretty much selling it at like GameStop prices or even more. So for me, pawn shops don't really seem to work. Now, I will tell you one thing that has worked for me in the past, and this is something that I would recommend to anyone, and this is a secret. I've never shared this secret before, but I will share it. And some of you may already know it, but there is a way to go virtual game hunting and get really good deals. The only thing is that it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of patience and a lot of consistency. And what is that? So I'll use one app in particular. If you look at an app like Mercari, you can pretty much put in a search for the game or games or type of games that you want to get. Now with Mercari, there's two ways that you can do that search. You can search based on the items that best match, like the things that you typically buy and look at, or you can run the search based on the newest posts that come up. Now, when you do it that way and you continue to refresh your feed in Mercari, you'll probably be the first to see whatever new post comes up. Now, a lot of times on Mercari, you still have people, the same way you have people in garage sales who sell things and maybe they don't know exactly, what the value of things are. You can still find people who will post like video game lots, like an entire bundle of video games for $100, and it won't be a scam. It'll be legit. It'll just be a person who probably doesn't have the time or patience to try to piecemeal things out, and they just want to sell like an entire lot. And so you might be able to get like a whole console, 10 to 15 games, a few controllers for like $60 or $70. That is one way that you can do some virtual game hunting and get retro games or video games below market value by buying them in a lot. And I'm speaking from experience because I actually did that myself once. So I actually was up one night just scouring Mercari for deals, and I kept refreshing my feed, and I wound up finding a gentleman, and just based on his page, it looked like he might have been like an army veteran or something like that, and he may have been like cleaning out a closet, but he just posted a photo of like a PlayStation 2. It was a silver PlayStation 2. It was complete in box, and then there were a stack of games like next to it. Now, when you look at the photo in Mercari, the games that you could see like really clearly were like Call of Duty and like Bass Pro Fishing, but there were more games like in the photos, because he didn't take good photos. That's how I knew like he wasn't someone who posted regularly. But I could see like way in the back, like there was what looked like a copy of Silent Hill, as well as a copy of Tekken. So when I saw that, I took a flyer and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just buy this thing, because I think he was selling everything for like $100. It was really cheap. So I was like, I'll take it. And sure enough, about 4 days later, the package came, and the PlayStation 2, it was complete in box. It still had all of like the individual plastic wrap that each like cord and component comes in. It had all the manuals. The PlayStation itself looked like it had never been played. The controller looked like it had never been touched. And when I went into the box and took the games out, it was about 12 to 13 games. And yeah, there were like about 8 or 9 duds, but there definitely was a very pristine copy of Silent Hill in there, along with a greatest hits copy of I think Tekken, and like a couple other games that I said, all right, this bundle was worth it. So just between the Tekken, Silent Hill, and the PlayStation 2 itself, that was easily like $300 to $350 in value, not counting any of the other games. So of course I could have just sold the Silent Hill and it would have paid for everything else, or I could have sold the PlayStation 2 and it would have paid for everything else. But in that bundle, I decided to keep everything just because of how good of a condition everything was. And condition plays a huge factor into whether or not I'm going to keep something in my collection. So I told you that little story just to share that, like, yes, if you don't live in a neighborhood, or if you don't live in a city, or if you don't live in an area where you can just randomly roll up to someone's house and, you know, go in their basement and buy their games, because not every neighborhood is like that. Not everyone feels safe and secure enough to do that, and that's okay, right? But there are other ways that you can go about building your game collection. Another thing, another story that I have is, I remember when I was, or another way, I guess, you can buy games under value without having to drive anywhere or do any meetups, is buying games in lots. You can buy video game lots on both eBay, Mercari, you know, a lot of these platforms. And usually when someone is selling a big lot, usually they're, you know, everything in the lot is going to be underpriced. So they don't want to take the time and individually sell everything. I remember there was a time where I was looking for a copy of Streets of Rage 2. I just wanted a complete in-box copy of Streets of Rage 2 for the Sega Genesis, and I was using my trick, right? I was doing searches on Mercari, searching by the newest post, and there was a lady who had posted basically like a lot of Sega Genesis games. Now, again, same scenario. When you looked at the photo, like the first two games that you could see at the top were like Sonic 1, Sonic 2, but then I saw like in the back, it looked like a copy of Dynamite Headdy as well. And there were a few other games in there, and I think the whole bundle, she wanted about $70 or $80. So I, again, took the deal. And when the box came, first off, like, you could tell when you opened the box that these games were sitting in a closet somewhere for about 25 to 30 years. Because every single game was pristine. I mean, mint. Like, there was a game in there that I think came with some playing cards, like some collectible cards. That package wasn't even open. And I think in that box there was a copy of Rocket Knight Adventures, I think Sonic 1, 2, and 3, Golden Axe 2, Fatal Fury 2. There were a few games in there, all of them brand new. So as we go into the winter season, or if you just live in a neighborhood where you just cannot, you know, just roll up to someone's house and do a meetup and pick up a stack of games or do a trade or anything like that, if you're not in that area, my recommendation is to jump on Mercari, jump on eBay, do searches, and try to be the first one to catch some of these posts. If you can see a post first, get early dibs, maybe reach out to the seller, make them an offer, and close the deal online. To me, that's just as good as going out and driving around and doing game hunting, because, you know, when you drive, you spend gas, you burn time. So it's definitely an alternative when you're thinking about building a game collection. And that does it for me tonight. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and views. These are some things that I've done to help get games on the cheap, and hopefully they'll help you as you build your collection. But let me know what you're seeing out there. Let me know how you collect. Let me know what games you're finding, because it is an interesting time to be a video game collector. Well, that does it for me. I am the Y2K Collector. I hope you're having a good weekend. Take it easy.